Chapter 373. Why? This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. A student with a thin face beside Zihanshaw spoke in a sharp voice. We've also long wanted to see elder brother Jang's sword technique. Will you please instruct us? With Zihanshaw leading them, those students seemed to be asking for advice, yet it felt more like coercion of Jang Yuochen. Even an idiot could tell their true purpose. Zhu Yingru furrowed her brows. Junior fellow apprentice Jang has rescued us before. It's not nice for you to do this now, is it? Junior sister apprentice, we truly just want to be instructed in sword technique. We don't mean anything else. Don't misunderstand. Zihanshaw maintained his smile, but jealousy was ravaging him on the inside. Zhu Yingru had always worshipped him, but now she was favoring that bastard Jang Yuochen. Did he have to defeat Jang Yuochen so she would understand who was the truly superior? Jang Yuochen naturally could tell why Zihanshaw wanted him to instruct him in sword technique. It had to be related to Zhu Yingru. She was the so-called femme fatale. Indeed, the ancient stories were all true. Another student stood out and said unhappily, "Eldest brother sincerely wants to learn sword technique from you. You won't deny him this, right?" "That's right. Don't tell me you're afraid of losing to eldest brother." A peculiar voice rang out. Jang Yuochen wasn't one to be pushed around. Since trouble had come to his door, he naturally wouldn't allow others to think he was afraid of them. He thought deeply for a moment before replying, "Fine. Since that's the case, we'll try a few moves. I hope we can end there." "Naturally." Zihanshaw smiled. The genius students from the South Cloud Commandery all revealed strange smiles. They backed away and began discussing in low voices. "Let's guess, how many moves will eldest brother need before he defeats that bastard?" "How many? Who among our generation in our commandery can block even one of his attacks?" "Third Wu, you're also a warrior at the advanced stage of the Heaven Realm. Can you do it?" "I'm not in the same league as the eldest brother." "We might be in the same realm, but it's not an easy task to block one of his strikes." "That bastard isn't a weakling either. His sword technique is indeed profound. I estimate he'll be able to put up a fight against eldest brother." "I think eldest brother will definitely defeat him within 10 moves." "Eldest brother is a 5.5 realm fighting genius. There's no way that bastard would have more." "Which among those 6 realm fighting geniuses aren't famed across the Eastern region?" "They would also have a chance of being featured in the Eastern region report." "Jang Yuochen? Hee. I've never heard of his name." Jang Yuochen, naturally, had been featured in the Eastern region report. However, he was only mentioned once in the final edition. Of course no one would remember his name. With his defeat of De Yi, he had the chance of headlining the Eastern region report. But there was still some time before the next issue would be published, and the news hadn't yet spread as of now. Zhu Yingru had also retreated, anticipation growing inside her. If she just went by their ages, she estimated Jang Yuochen to be younger than Zihanshaw. Though Zihanshaw looked to be in his early 20s, he was already 32. Jang Yuochen didn't seem like he exceeded 25. When it came to their battle power, it wasn't easy to come up to a conclusion. After all, she knew Zihanshaw very well. He was a truly powerful warrior and was essentially invincible among his peers. Even among the older generation, few were his rivals. Elder brother Jang is probably weaker than eldest brother, but he's still young. His innate talent far exceeds that of eldest brother. Could he already be a 6-realm fighting genius? Her heart beat rapidly as a daring guess rose in her mind. Everything depended on the outcome of this battle. If Jang Yuochen could really stand his ground against Zihanshaw, then he was probably a 6-realm fighting genius. Swoosh. In an elegant move, Zihanshaw pulled out his sword and held it up. The strands of purple genuine chi that flowed out from his body enveloped him, forming a thick celestial body shield. He hailed from a half-saint family, there's a family. He practiced a mid-class ghost-level exercise, the secrets of the purple blood mark. After reaching the Heaven Realm, he naturally practiced a special genuine chi, which was the purple cloud genuine chi. Being born into a good family was an enormous advantage. From a young age, he was able to study peak martial arts books and establish a strong foundation. Coupled with his innate talent and hard work, he was destined for greatness. Disciples from poor families could only start with human stage and spiritual stage exercises. Even if they later exhibited great talent, it would be difficult for them to catch up to prodigies who had practiced superior level exercises. Even if they forcefully started practicing a different exercise, their meridians had long been set and the effects wouldn't necessarily be strong. On the contrary, it will waste a lot of their time. The losses wouldn't make up for the gains. Zhang Yuochen didn't underestimate his opponent either. He released his blue genuine chi and formed a celestial body shield. Zihanshaw narrowed his eyes when he saw the blue genuine chi enveloping his opponent's body and smiled. You've also practiced a special genuine chi. Seems like the exercise you practiced is also very powerful. Draw your sword. Zhang Yuochen shook his head. Demonstrating sword technique doesn't necessarily require drawing the sword. Zihanshaw felt a chill in his heart, feeling like he was being underestimated. You're prouder than me. Well, let's see if you have the ability to justify your arrogance. Without holding back, he immediately executed the most powerful sword technique he had practiced, the red sword form. It was a superior class spiritual stage sword technique with a total of 7 moves. He had long practiced it to the realm of perfection. Swoosh. He made the first attack and executed the first move of the red sword form, Waves of the Red Sea. The sword radiance spilled forth like a waterfall, giving off the impression of endlessness. Each wave of sword chi was stronger than the last. In the first place, the two of them had been standing close to one another. In just a flash, Zihanshaw's sword had neared Zhang Yuochen. Watching the sword radiance cover the sky and ground, Zhang Yuochen stood where he was and gently nodded. Zihanshaw's sword technique attainment was indeed high, already reaching the peak of sword following the heart. There were practically no flaws when he had practiced his sword technique to this level. However, Zhang Yuochen's sword technique attainment was more than one level above him. His sword heart had already integrated. No matter how many illusory tricks Zihanshaw had, how strong his sword chi, or how many changes it had, he was like a child playing with a sword. Clash. Zhang Yuochen grabbed the hilt of his sword and turned his body to block Zihanshaw's sword, completely sealing his following movements. He blocked my red sword form so easily. Zihanshaw couldn't believe that his opponent was that powerful. He immediately shifted his sword movement and executed the second move, Red Moon in an Empty Sky. He instantly followed it up with the third move, Red Hair Dance. Then it was the fourth move, Red Cloud Blood. The seventh move, Red Heart. Zihanshaw had dealt all the 7 moves continuously. However, Zhang Yuochen's feet never moved the entire time. Using only one move, he easily blocked all of Zihanshaw's sword movements. The students standing to the side were stunned. In their eyes, Zhang Yuochen was like a boulder. He had merely stood in place and dissolved Zihanshaw's attacks like it was nothing. There was no more that needed to be said. Everyone could see that Zhang Yuochen was so much more superior to Zihanshaw, to the point that the two weren't even in the same league. Zhu Yingru pulled with her sleeve with her jade-like fingers. Her beautiful eyes were full of tears and she exclaimed in astonishment. She felt that Zhang Yuochen's every move was confident, flowing, and elegant. He's too powerful. In front of him, eldest brother is like a child still learning the sword. Why did I even thought that eldest brother was powerful before? She gently shook her head. After watching this battle, the lofty image that Zihanshaw had in her heart had completely shattered. Clash. Zhang Yuochen turned his arm and once again blocked Zihanshaw's sword. At the same time, the genuine chi in his chi si was rushing to his arm and became a genuine chi wave with a push. An enormous strength spilled out from the sword scabbard and pushed Zihanshaw backward by 9 steps. Since your sword movements are all used up, let's end this here. He had no interest in continuing the fight and only wanted to leave. Who told you that my sword movements are completely used up? You're not allowed to leave. We'll continue our battle. Zihanshaw felt his humiliation turn into anger. It was difficult to control his emotions. He leapt up, holding his sword in both hands. He immersed genuine chi into the blade and activated the inscriptions. He then slashed at Zhang Yuochen with all his strength. He wasn't Zhang Yuochen's opponent when it came to sword technique, that much he was willing to admit. Since that was the case, then he would no longer compete with sword movements. He would compare their true strength. Zihanshaw's sword was a 10th level genuine martial arms and its power was limitless. After he activated the inscriptions in the blade, It exploded with a red light and spat out fire like a waterfall of fire. It aimed straight for Zhang Yuochen's head. Zhang Yuochen sighed and gently shook his head. It was at this moment that Zihanshaw suddenly discovered that Zhang Yuochen had disappeared from sight. When he realized this, he was already one step too late. Zhang Yuochen appeared next to Zihanshaw on his left. He swung the hilt of his sword, striking Zihanshaw's abdomen. Clash! Zihanshaw felt a surge of pain from his lower abdomen and an enormous power at work on his body. Like a kite with its strings cut, he fell back. Zihanshaw landed on his bottom with a bang on the tough silver-colored deck. He was completely knocked out of his bearings. Zhang Yuochen floated down like a leaf, landing gently on the ground. We can end this now, right?